Hello everyone. Welcome to this exciting look at how real estate professionals are setting themselves apart with digital marketing and sales assets. My name is Alex Martonik and I'm a lead in Esri's business services team. I specialize in helping Esri's commercial real estate users close bigger deals faster by helping them create custom web applications and powerful narratives that bring a site to life. I'd like to introduce today's speaker, Helen Thompson, who is responsible for global marketing strategies in the commercial business development team here at Esri. Helen is a true subject matter expert with over 25 years experience in spatial science and geography. Over the past 15 years in particular, Helen has worked closely with real estate professionals around the world. She's a regular speaker at academic and professional conferences and is an instructor with the CCIM Institute. With that, Helen, when you are ready.
Welcome to you all, whether you're joining us live here or you're watching this recording. So I'm going to move quite quickly through this today. I'm going to cover quite a lot of materials. And first of all, what I want to cover is why should real estate professionals use story maps? This is an exciting technology. It's engaging, it's interactive. But often the challenge is to understand what story map to use, which template to use, and how to get all the data organized and out there. And then this isn't a one and done type system. What we're interested in is continually engaging with our audience, marketing, selling the properties, whatever that might be, and really to try and bring this all together so that this becomes something that you can learn how to do, make something that's repeatable, and go back in and really differentiate yourselves, as Alex said, as being this group of people that provides not just engaging materials, but stuff which people want to come back and see again and again. So what are story maps? I mean, they're interactive HTML5 applications that run on any device, any time. In real estate, they're used typically to create property flyers and promotions. In market analysis and research, to present information about those marketplaces, trade areas, the individual properties themselves. They're great for property tours, and they're certainly very good on one-on-one or multi-engagement marketing presentations. And we would encourage you to go and explore the story maps at the public gallery. There's some great inspiring examples, and they can all be found at storymaps.arcgis.com, which is the first place that I'm going to go to as part of this. But what I want to do before I get interactive is go through the different types. For real estate, the 5 most popular applications really make a big difference. And the number one is the story map tour. This is an experience which is a place-based narrative. It's perfect for real estate because it fits that paradigm of location, 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 or location, demographics, and timing. It's very visual. You can use images and video. It's simple controls with an online builder that anybody can use. It's adaptive and responsive to different layouts, so you can change the style. You can change the things that you have on this template. And as you move between devices, how it looks on an iPhone is different how it looks on a Surface tablet. But you build it once and you can deploy it everywhere. If you reorientate your iPad, it will change the appearance. So you don't have to program all of this. Esri's gone ahead and built that for you. You can georeference in anything, images, videos, spreadsheets. All of the data that you typically have in your organization can be put onto this map tool. And there's great import templates. I'll show you how to use that. You can highlight key areas. You can see in this example of the city of Santa Clara, they've used blue to focus your eye into just the areas that they've got their properties. And of course you can customize it, and there's source code available, as is true for all of these different apps. And so what I want to do is just show you this example here for the city of Vista. So they start on an intro screen. All of these are the different properties. Down the bottom we have an interactive bar that you can scroll around to see the different places. They've used different pin colors in this case to show you whether it's in planning review, whether it's approved, under construction, or completed. Any of these properties you can click on and see. It brings up different types of multimedia, photographs, plans, designs. All of these things are supported in this standard template. The map's also interactive, so you can zoom and scroll around. You can click on the map itself and find out information about it. So it's a great example of introducing a simple carousel which focuses on individual locations and brings together information about them in an easy to understand and use way. The next one is the Story Map Shortlist. So the shortlist has been designed to be an interactive set of tabs that you can present the properties and information which is available to you. This is extremely popular for people that, just like the city I showed, have different properties in different stage or different property classes. It's simple to create and manage. You can arrange your property layers by different types and different tabs, or you could aggregate them all together. It connects the visual tiles that you see on one side with the individual map objects, so it builds on the experience that I just showed you in the Story Map tour. There's a drag and drop online builder, so you can bring your photos off your desktop and just drag them into this environment. But you can also use Picasa or Flickr or other sources to go and store your images, which means that you can separate out the building of this from the management of the data, and we'll show you some examples of how we're going to build this. And you can, of course, add lots and lots of additional information. So if you've got square footage or rent, ownership, whether it's sprinkled or not, all those different attributes that you've got locked in your spreadsheets or on your marketing flyers and other pieces, you can bring into this exciting little app. And of course, at any time you can add and extend that. So a great example is this one here that Cushman and Wakefield have done in the Memphis area. And what they've also done is they've embedded this interactive story in their web page. So the interactive map is sat inside the web page. You can go and look at the different classes. As I zoom into the data, you'll see that this is being changed and filtered. And what they've also allow you to do is you can just go and look at this application full screen. So there's a little preview to this. You can embed these story maps inside your home pages and your corporate web pages. That's a really, really nice feature because you're not recreating again. You're just using some simple web code to do that embedding. And as I said, if you click on an object, you can see the tile and the object to link and go for more information and jump out to anywhere, including things like their project links and other bits and pieces. So very quick, easy, simple to create, but a wonderful experience for clients. Third most popular one is the Story Map Journal. And this is designed to have a large map display area and a side panel. And again, different formats to this, but what's been designed here is that there's a narrative that you can scroll through. So you can think of this as being like a book or a multi-page flyer. As you go to different pages, it's going to show you different information. And it's rich media, so in that narrative on one of the sides, you can include maps and images and videos. You can embed web pages onto the main stage, this part of the story map here, the map journal. You can have pop-ups and interactive layers, and you've got a lot more control over how the map displays. And of course, one of the great things is that you can jump between different sections. So as you update it, you can reorganize, remove things around, build it to be exactly as you want, and continually update this. And there's another thing in this one called Autoplay mode. And what Autoplay mode does is it automatically advances through the different sections that you've set up. So if you've got 10 properties, you can create a map journal, set up Autoplay, embed it on your website, and as the website is viewed, it will automatically play those over the different time intervals that you talked about. So let's go and look at this one that was built by the city of LA. So they've set up a title screen, and then down the side are all of the different properties they've got access to. And you can see that they've grouped here by different sections and included photos, design elements, all the different parts of this. And as we, again, an interactive experience, we can see the parcels that include the extent of this development. And there are things here to allow us to do different things. I can change the base map. So if I want to know what the streets are around it, simply add those base maps. I can turn the layer on to understand more about it in terms of the status. So this is all information that the city has included. And what we have running here is actually a simple web app. It's another ArcGIS Online web app which is running inside this story map, which allows us to do many, many powerful things, including generate a print of all the information that's up on screen in PDF or in JPEG, or all the different ways that we want to produce this. So it's a great way of having lots and lots of information that you can quickly jump to, view all the different sections and the different developments, and let somebody come out and measure the size or the area or the distance, generate their prints without having to come to you every single time. It's actually one of my favorite examples of the map journal, and the city continually updates this. So it's available for everybody, and as a new project is developed, it's on there. And the other nice thing is that you can launch any of these side elements. So we can pop out the photo and view it, or the development plan with the engineering work, whatever it might be, the architectural plan in this case. So another great tool for combining lots of information, in this case about multiple sites, in a way that logically organizes things to those different sites. The fourth application is what we call the tab viewer. And this is using that same logic that we talked about in the shortlist to organize things by subject and by topic. So here you're creating a narrative that builds on itself, but builds in a more horizontal way. You can think about this, again, being using multiple styles and sheets. So you can have bullets if you want, say, here's the 5 things I want you to learn about. Or you can use tabs which feature different areas of interest, or might be different properties. Or you can use this accordion style where they're all set up down the side, and as you open up the accordion, it focuses on that area. Again, you can combine rich media in the sidebar. You can use different maps in each section. This is a really nice capability in terms of being able to say, well, let me change the focus of this. Let me show you in a different style. Let me show you this in different ways. And most of the advanced story maps will allow you to do this, but this is one of the most popular ways of telling a story where the focus changes and you turn the map layers on and off to communicate something specific about that location or about that site. And of course, the nice thing is that you can synchronize across these different tabs. So you might want to use the tabs to show what the site was 3 years ago, show the plan, show the current work, and show the future. You can do those 4 things on 4 different tabs, and you can synchronize them. So if you zoom in on any one map, as you swap back between the tabs, it will show you each one of those different aspects. So let's go and have a look at one of the cities close to us here in Redlands, the city of Moreno Valley. And what they've done is they've used a map journal. They've embedded story maps inside each other to tell this story. And then there are 4 major areas. And what they've done is use tabs to focus in on each one of those map areas. So they're using the tab viewer with the map journal inside. So a great way of being able to tell lots of stories in different ways. And so the journal itself goes through every one of the different parts that's associated with it, the blocks of land which are available, contact information for the lease, and there's a pop-up here giving all the information about it. And so for each different industrial area, they've used the tab to focus people's attention just on that. And you can see that as the sites get bigger and bigger, each one of the story map journals on the side becomes bigger and bigger. And all of these are completely interactive. So if I want to contact Chuck, here's his phone number, and I click on email, and it will actually start generating an email to Chuck with this. And of course, there are things like legends, as I said, inside. There's a nice feature which is the overview map, so I can pan around and scroll using this little overview window as well. The newest and very visually exciting story map is something called Story Map Cascade. And this is a full screen in-depth storytelling mode which looks like many of the modern websites. It's extremely easy to navigate, and it's completely immersive, supporting things, video and 3D scenes and images and all of these different things. There's an online builder that allows you to clone and organize and manage things. This is definitely one which is very impressive to build, but as I'll talk later, requires you to organize your data in different ways, but to think about that organization. So in a little while, what I'm going to do is talk about how you manage that data using things like Flickr and Google+, but sources like Vimeo and YouTube and just web pages. You can manage your data, put it online in the cloud, and bring it into all these different areas, including things like hosting desktop images in ArcGIS Online, and then creating a reader view. One of the great things about many of these new story maps is that it's possible to print those out as PDFs. We have a video playing on the title page. This video was just linked from YouTube. It's public domain. I can scroll through. I built a complete 3D scene, which is interactive. You can see the different pages as I scroll backwards and forwards or down through it. Here I'm talking about the access, this location. It's walking distance to some of Miami's most exciting neighborhoods. We've got a map. This map is interactive, so I can see where those different neighborhoods are and where those different features are. The map can also contain a narrative, so as I scroll through, here's an executive summary. And this was a combination of sort of public information and some great work that was done by one of our customers, Coldwell Banker Commercial Team, out of Lakeland. And they want to put their information inside this. So I've grabbed some work that we've done. Here's all the focus for the team and where Coldwell Bankers is in the US. You can add all of this branding inside and be part of that previous history, whatever it might be. A very nice sort of immersive experience that you can scroll through in many, many different ways. And this is really replacing a lot of the work that people are doing to build those static property flyers. And then there's a very popular thing that isn't a story map. It's actually one of our web app templates. So when you create maps in ArcGIS Online, you can publish these things called web apps. And there's this great one called the local perspective. And on the right-hand side, you have these different tools, which are the different layers in a map. So the whole idea is you can use a user selectable location and address lookup, and you can navigate, do driving directions to those sites. So you can think of this as how to use this with a map tool. It also includes things like summarized demographics for the search areas. You can include things like live weather if you want to. But the great thing about this and all of the story maps is that as you update the data, the maps, the different sections associated with these stories are updated as you update those maps. And once again, the source code is available for developers. Let me show an example for LA here. And what I've done is I've gone to the city of LA and I've collected information about a lot of different locations. So I'm going to just type in a location here, 2 South Bixel Street, right in the center of LA. I'm able to set my radius. So this is 2 miles. What are the public schools within 1 mile around it? I can, zoom up to a different scale. I can see all these schools. They count them, and any of the layers, high schools, chartered schools, whatever it might be, this right-hand side is just the layers which are stored in that map. And in this case, all of the information came from the city of LA, who are publicly producing and publishing data which is shared on ArcGIS Online. So everything from golf course to police stations, fire stations, libraries, farmers markets. So this, particularly for things like multifamily and residential, really helps give a sense of how do you know your neighborhood, right? Who's around and what does it look like? And including things like demographics. So within 3 miles, these are the demographics, the total number of households, males and females. As I change the search radius, all of that information changes. So a great way to really understand what's happening on a local market area, and as I said, to know your neighborhood. All right, so let's get going here. What are the use cases for this? How can I go and build some of these different story maps? What I want to do is just start building. Okay, so if you go into the story maps page, you can explore, as I said, by different areas. Here's business and economy. I can look at all of the different story maps. They're organized by style. And you can also type in a different subject, so something like real estate, and you can see many of the examples that I've just shown. They come up. If you click on the apps, you can start creating your own app. So I'm going to build in this case, a map tour. And what I want to do with this map tour is use data that I've already collected. So in this case, what we've done is Alex went out with his camera and left his GPS on, took a whole bunch of photos, and has organized them onto his Flickr account. So he's made these public. I can search under this account, and here's the different photos and areas that Alex has taken. So this is retail. And quickly and easily, they're up in the map tool, and I can start viewing them. And so all of the information that's in here has come from the photo. In Flickr, what Alex has done is just created a basic name, but the GPS information for the camera has been maintained when it's copied them up to Flickr, and that is what allows you to georeference those photos. And of course, the map's completely interactive. Any of these we can organize and change, right? So if we want to, we could, change the color. So this is a historic building. Maybe I want to make historic buildings purple. There's another historic building. So we can do all of this. The settings allow us to change different things. I want to change the layout from the left-hand side to the right-hand side. I might want to change the colors to make them green, change the header, not use the Esri logo, or use my own custom logo. You can do that. The data that gets displayed is available, and this is really important. We'll come back to this in another in another data set shortly. We can set the extent. So this is big. I just want to come to downtown Redlands. I just draw it, click apply, and now I've set a different extent for my map. And of course you can see that it's actually recording all of the different information and the changes that I've made associated with this work, and I hit save and I've got a template. But before I do, you can also import again from different sources, a CSV, or add more and more information. So that allows you to keep building on top of this. And I can also reorganize. So if I want all the historic buildings, just reorganize them and click apply, and now my banner and my carousel has all been updated to reflect that. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to quit out of this without saving, because I'm going to build this again, but I'm going to use a different source this time. We have a template that you can use to import from this, because not everybody is going to put all their photographs up on Flickr or Picasa or these different sources. So there's a template which is used to import this data, and it's a simple drag and drop exercise. In this case, I've got all my data contained in here. Here are my buildings. I'm going to drag them onto the map, this area, and you can see it's uploaded. And what that CSV contains is these common fields: a name, a description, the lat long, a reference to the picture, and the thumbnail that we want to use for that. And those common elements are used all the way through the different story map types to bring consistency, so you can simply use CSVs. So now I've imported it, and now what we're able to do is the description down the bottom. If you remember before, it was building 12, other things. Because we've linked to the photo where it's stored on Flickr, we're able to add a different description associated with that. And that's just stored within the file itself. So let me bring up this data file, and you can see how it's all managed. So I'm looking at 122 Cajon Street, which is the first picture in my carousel, and you can see that that's the name of it. I've got a description, which is retail, I've got my lat long, and I've got a picture reference and a thumb reference, and you can see that these are actually exactly the same, which is why the picture on the carousel and the picture in the main window appears. And remember, the description was retail, so that's why it's there. If I want to change the thumbnail, I can do that, or change the media. If I want to add a video, then it's very simple to link to a video. And I'm just going to basically, there's a video that I have. I can apply this, and now it's going to start. You know, this is a video of the inside of the office, and it will play automatically. So any different sources, these different medias, you can go and use. All right, so I'm going to quit out of this again, and I'm going to show you now a couple of different things. I'm going to build this, but what I've got is a set of custom attributes. So typically, you're not just going to have a couple of fields. You're going to have information that is really based on your properties. So things like the neighborhood, the type, the square footage, the asking price, the minimum price, the square foot, the parking lots, all the other bits and pieces. So this is just a standard commercial data exchange, commercial property exchange file format that you pretty all will be familiar with. And all we've done is just added the lat long, the picture URL, and used a common description. And in this case as well, I've included things like street side from Microsoft, so that you can interactively go and view it. And I've used a really nice template to build information about each one of my properties. And for those of you attending the webinar or viewing it afterwards, we'll give you the design file so you can replicate this sort of display. So as we scroll around, each one of these changes, so you can see that it's giving me feedback on each one of these different properties. The bar graph and the bubble graph are changing, the floors are changing, all those other parts. Simple to do, easy to do using this spreadsheet. And as I said, the source code is available to you. Anybody can pick this source code up and start using it. So let me quit out of this again. And I've taken that same source code. In this case, I've customized my own view. I've taken the same information, I've made this window larger, and I've used black and orange as my consistent colors. And as I zoom around, all this different information appears within this style, and I've added my own branding within this whole thing, within the city of Redlands. And you can see as I jump between different properties, the rent comparison will change, all of the sizes, those different things. So I'm actually showing on that little infographic about 15 different data elements. I'm not having to have somebody read through a long, complex document. It's very visual and can do that. And this is completely public, so if you want to look at this later, we'll show you the link to it. Okay, so let's go and create a different one of this. Now the shortlist. The shortlist is, again, available right from the apps part of this with the interactive builder. And what we're going to do again is we're going to import data from different sources. So there's a couple of ways we can do this. We can go inside here, import them for Flickr on the Esri CRE account. I'm going to load up all of these in retail. I'm going to edit this tab, and I'm going to call it retail. And I can change the color and everything else. And now I'm going to now create a new tab. And I'm going to do it in exactly the same way. And what I'm going to do is use Flickr, and it's remembered my user. And now I can add Office, select all, import all of these, and I could add it tab in the same way. And you can see that here are these different types as Alex has uploaded them. The great thing about this is that, of course, we can save the header. So Redlands shortlist. I'm going to save this. Right. So now it's going to be permanently available. The different attributes are available. So if I click on buildings, it's going to come say, well, look, how do you want us to share this? I'm going to share it with the public. So now here's all the information to socialize it. This is a shortcut using the ArcGIS link, like a bit.ly. And here's all the source code to embed it in your web page. So if you want to take this application, put it on a website, you can easily do that. We can also do things like change the base map, right? So go back to, say, imagery, or we could change the extent. Many of these things that we can change. The other great thing about this is that we go through the settings. There are information like this that says only list places visible on the map. What that means is as I zoom in and pan around the map, as you saw with the Cushman and Wakefield example, it shows the features just in this area. I can customize the header in exactly the same way, and we can have a compact header, which is really good when you're using this on different devices. At any time, then I can just take this, I can view the story, and I can see what it looks like, and I can jump between developing and designing these different stories. So you can see I didn't update this to say office, and as I scroll in, zoom in, the different data sets are there. And remember, I didn't save the background where I changed it to the imagery, so that's why it's using this gray background. So this is what it would look like shared with everybody. There's also a different way to create this using a CSV, because not everybody is going to use a CSV, images stored on Flickr or somewhere else. So I'm going to use ArcGIS Online now to bring together information I've got in a CSV. So I'm going to load information from my computer using the add item, and I've got a bunch of properties that don't contain lat long, they just contain addresses. So ArcGIS Online will read that. I'm going to say this is all about real estate, and I am going to tell it to work in the United States. We support geocoding in quite literally 100+ countries around the world, and you can see that it's recognized the city and state which are contained within the attributes of my map and my CSV, and they're going to be transferred onto the map. So now it's loading that CSV up to ArcGIS Online, and it's publishing what we call a data service, a feature layer, and that can be added to maps. So I'm going to use ArcGIS Online to create my maps. And this is a great thing to do because I can come back and I can test the addresses, right? So it's reviewed those and it's matched all 20. If it doesn't match them, there's a data reviewer that you can use. But because I got them all, I don't need to do this. What I want to do is I'm going to add this to a new map. And now I'm up running in ArcGIS Online. And you can see that it understands information that was in my spreadsheet. One of the attributes was type, and it's reorganized based on type. And I'm going to change the symbology and make it a little bit larger, and it will change all of the display associated with the different type for this. But you can see that it's geocoded using street geocoding. And I probably want to use the building centroid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my base map to imagery. And because I added this feature layer with editing, I can go through and I can move these different points. So I can click on an object, I can see all those attributes. These are the ones that were in the spreadsheet, and I can just move that. So any of these objects we can move around wherever we want them to be or wherever they need to be. Okay, I can edit the attributes, so I can do all these different things. One of these objects is at the back of, you can see is set back, so I can click and move it to a different location. All right, so very simple to do, manage all those different changes as part of that. But I also I know I've got two different types. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this layer, and I'm going to call this retail. And I'm going to use that one feature service that we loaded to ArcGIS Online to split my properties into the different types. Now the great thing is whenever I update that feature layer, these layers on the map will automatically be updated. So now you'll see in the map there's only red dots, there's no blue dots. But the great thing is I can copy this. Now I've got a copy of retail. I'm going to rename this. I'm going to make it office. Say OK to this. And I'm going to, of course, change the filter. I can just click Edit on the filter. And I'm going to say here, it automatically understands that it's used retail. applies office, and now I've got red and blue dots. So I'm going to save this. I'm happy with what I've got, and I'm going to say this is leasable buildings, building leases. It's real estate. I'd really encourage you to use good tags and fill in things like the summary fields and things. I'm just going to take a bit of a shortcut for the moment for this. And so now I've created a map, and that map is addressable and visible. And I can share this into a story map using the share button and then create a web app. We can build a story map, and one of the things that's automatically available is that shortlist template. I'm going to say this is the building leases, which was inherited from my map name. It's in real estate. Click Done. And now it's going to walk me through building this shortlist from the map attribute. So now it says you've got point data. Yes, I want to use those which are editable. I want to include office and retail. I'm going to use the name for the other information that pops up. For the more information, I could use description or neighborhood or square footage, whatever it might be, total rent. Let's just use that one. And so now it's built a map for us, and each one of those layers that you saw in my map is now being presented at different tabs in the app itself. So really nice way to go and create this, and of course you can use all those settings and features that I just talked about in there. So let me go back to my map. So same sort of data, telling it in different story maps, and I just want to cover one more with you, which is the local perspective. So the local perspective is a different type. It's not a story map, and I'm going to save this map this time as Redlands LP for local perspective. I'm going to use my real estate tag again, save my map, and I'm going to share it now. And when I share it, I'm going to build a web app, but I'm going to use not a story map, but one of the pre-configured web apps. And it's all about local, providing local information. So here's our template. Click Create, LP app. Let's say Done for this. And now here coming up is the app being built dynamically to support my application. So I can change the color, the title. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to include demographics and lifestyle information. I'm going to do it in degrees Celsius and kilometers. I'm going to enable routing, a few clicks, and here is the application being built, hosted on ArcGIS Online for you, and shareable. So now for my different offices, there are 8 offices within my view. If I change the distance to say 1 kilometer, we'll show those which are there. I can type in an address like 380 New York Street, and it will now find that location. It's the center of the display, or New York, whatever it is. Let's go back and do 380 New York Street. All right, so you can do anything that you want associated with this. It's just a standard finder. It's a nice capability in terms of being able to find these things. And what you can see is that it's context sensitive. So when I'm in New York, it's looking for New York. When I'm in Redlands, it's looking for Redlands. So that's the place that I want to find. And I've got no offices within a mile of it, a kilometer of it. As I expand out, I can see where they are. So here's number 2. I can click on number 2 and get turn-by-turn routing directions from my office, existing office, to this new potential office site that I want to go to. No coding required, really simple to configure, and just click View, and this application is running live. All right, so let me just finish by one more thing, which is associated with using real-time data. So many people store data in public sources like Box and different, and just online on the web. So I'm going to create a new map here associated with this. And corporately in Box, I've stored my pipeline, right? It's a private data set that I want to maintain. So I'm going to add this to my map, and I'm going to basically reference it as a CSV. And so this CSV is stored up on Box, and I need to give the full path name to Box, and here it is, the complex name. But because that's shared on Box, ArcGIS Online can go and find it, read it, and use the information of the lat long to geocode these. So this is using the different directions, and I can change the symbology based on type. So typically, the things are going to change. So in my map, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a refresh interval, and I'm going to set my refresh interval to be every 6 seconds. And you'll see that this will flash. But while that's happening, what I want to do is I want to add more data to the spreadsheet. So imagine that somebody's out in the field, or somebody's in your office and they're changing the data. So here I'm launching Box. It's bringing up Excel to edit this file, and I'm just going to paste in some different data. I'm going to save that data. It's saving it to Box. Okay, it's up there in the cloud. I don't want to save it locally. You can see that it's revised this file. And if I go into my map now, rather than just those 4 features, it's got all these extra features, and they're automatically color-coded, associated with the different data that's there, and the attributes that I showed, the symbolization. And you can see that it's flashing every time it's looking to see 6 seconds has that file been updated on Box. And if I want to turn that off, I just simply go to refresh and turn it off, which now means that the only thing I'll see is how that version of the data, how it was created last time I referenced it. All right, so summarizing up, data prep is everything. It saves time, reduces hassle. Clearly, you can do real-time update and data management, but we really recommend that you think about how to store and manage data in spreadsheets. Get your data right first time. It's really difficult to come back and sort your data afterwards, part of this, but clearly you can use public stores and different places. Many story maps use these common keywords or fields, simple to understand, simple to use, and you can download the map tool template at any time by building one interactively, going to advanced options, and just download the CSV template. That's the template I use for most of the things that I built here. If you're working with lat long and addresses, ArcGIS Online, as I showed you, imports many different places around the world, hundreds of different formats and different geographies. You can use lat long and you can use addresses, but many of the interactive story require lat long. So what you want to do is import to ArcGIS Online. You can edit locations, and you can then export that data back out to CSV and re-import it into lat long and into ArcGIS Online. The reason you want to do that is that if you're using the data with roof level geocoding, or you've got large blocks of land or subdivided properties, this will mean that it's consistently going back to that location, not doing the street level geocoding that you saw for Redlands. And you can use that as a template for every time you use that address. You don't have to re-geocode. What you can do is just copy the lat long from that reference file. Photos are automatically georeferenced using the information on the camera. This is one I took in my hometown, shows you on the map. Story Maps can import that. Tools like Flickr have simple mechanisms to geolocate any photograph. If you've edited it with Photoshop and you've lost the XY location, the GPS location, you can simply drag and drop the photo around a map to relocate it, and Story Maps will automatically load all your images in from these albums. So we would really encourage you to create albums associated with this. And finally, files. A lot of these can be managed in public stores, your photos, your videos, things like that. Just make sure that you expand the short names, right? So all of these tools require the full definition with the file type, JPEG or text or PNG, CSV if you're importing from the web. And so just make sure you expand those out and you won't have any problems working with these different things. So my recommendations, my final slide, and then I'll answer questions, is really there's a best practice, which is envision your story flow and purpose before you start. Think about the template that you want to use and organize your content before you start. I use Word to organize my text. I put my images on Flickr. I create my graphs and things and charts in Excel. And then all I'm having to do is copy, paste, or link to the references. If I make a change, I'm using that same image file, that same storage again and again. You want to build them in a structured way, saving often. And really recommend that when you do it, you come back and you say, could I reorganize this in the map tool, move things around, change the colors of the pin in the shortlist. Do I really need that? Can I organize my tabs better? In the map journal, can I do better sections? And test those again and again on different devices and different screens. And if you think you're done, go to the storymaps.esri.com or arcgis.com website, and there's a great checker for your stories which will show you all the issues and errors, and that saves countless hours of trying to figure this out. And then when you're done with all that, share, socialize, enjoy the stuff where people are reading them. And two other things to know. You saw that stories can be embedded. They can be embedded horizontally through tab views and vertically through the different starts. And the great thing is that they can also contain web apps, applications building web apps. So for the LA example, there was a small web application, the web app builder application that ran inside the story map. So, Alex, just want to hand over, are there any questions?
Oh, yes, and thank you very much, Helen. I know we had to cover a lot of information within the hour, but we do have a few questions coming in regarding the photographs. When you're using the CSV file and you're doing the drag and drop or you're uploading that file, you can host pictures outside of Flickr, correct? Anything that has a web address you can import into your CSV?
Absolutely. It's just a web app address using the full file name. So I host photos in all these different locations. Yeah, it doesn't have to be Flickr. It can be any public store.
Excellent. And we have one question here I can answer from the demonstration, which is how do you get the latitude and longitude within your photos? And to answer this question, there are three methods. For this particular one, as Helen mentioned, I had my location turned on my phone, and the photographs were automatically geotagged when I took the photo. It saved that location. However, there may be an instance where you need to edit the photo, Photoshop them, and in some of those cases, if you edit a photo, you'll lose the latitude and longitude. So what you can do is you can upload these to Flickr, and in Flickr you can set the location on a map widget that's built into the album, and then when you have it saved there, import it to ArcGIS. The other way you can do it is you can add the photo into ArcGIS and set the latitude and longitude for that point. That is if you already have it hosted in, say, the CSV.
Yeah, and yeah, one other thing, just to explain, everything I did today was entirely based on using ArcGIS Online and the Story Maps webpage, which comes with ArcGIS Online. So there was no ArcGIS desktop or server involved in any of this. This is purely a cloud implementation, also using productivity tools like Microsoft Office. So this is available to everybody who has an ArcGIS Online subscription.
And also add on to that, because this is hosted online, this isn't ArcGIS desktop, this is compatible with Mac and PC and mobile devices.
Yeah, and one of the questions we've got is about security. You can set up security aspects so it can be public. You can create your own groups within the organization. So you could have, let's say, retail and industrial and office as separate groups. Only the people assigned to those groups are allowed to view this data. It can be completely private. You can open up access for a short period of time and close it down. And you can also create custom security roles which use your organizational security validator. There's a question about importing shapefiles. Yeah, absolutely. One of the common data formats is shapefiles. A lot of the examples I showed at the start, like the city of Vista, are using shapefiles in the background. We're going to hold a webinar in January where we're going to show and spend more time on preparing and creating data for story maps. So I'm very excited about that, and we can show you how to do this, including things like georeferencing site plans and images in the background.
And we also have a question here in regards to doing virtual tours, similar to what some of our users have done in the past using Google Earth. Helen, do you want to discuss how you can have this where you have a building image on the side and doing a fly-through or a flyover of a 3D scene within the Cascade?
Yeah, one of the features of ArcGIS Online is something called a 3D scenes. There's a free 3D environment toolkit that you can download called ArcGIS Earth, and both of those support scenes. So you can create a scene which allows you to build bring in a 3D object and model and create those sort of pathways. So we call them bookmarks. So you can set up a bookmark which might be the view of the building from the west and the east, and then you can fly through those. And if you remember, one of my examples was a 3D cascade. And if I go look at I'm going to show you how I built that. It's part of my content. Everything that I've done today, created today, you can see is actually now stored in this area called webinars. If I go to my real estate folder, I'm somewhat organized associated with this, and then here are my scenes, and here's one of these scenes and Miami buildings, and I'm just going to click and open that, and it's, as I said, it's fully interactive, and you can see in this example how I've symbolized the buildings based on the different sizes. And again, this all comes with ArcGIS Online. It's completely supported by everybody that has that ArcGIS Online account. And all I did for my story map was save a slightly different version of this and embed the scene in my Cascade.
Wonderful. We also have a question about working offline with these. So with story maps and these web applications for real estate professionals that have clients who don't have mobile or data on their tablets, can they store this offline and access the presentations when they're not connected to Wi-Fi?
Most of them require you to be online, but you can also take some of them, like the map journal, and print them out as PDFs. So they are designed to be interactive online applications, but some of them you can export directly out to PDF. But in terms of what we'll show in the January webinar, there's ways to take this data and synchronize it and export it, so if you're out in the field, you can use that data out in the field, and we'll cover that in January. Some questions from my friends at CCM, and I just wanted to comment on something about me being a CCM instructor. I joined, I teach a lot of this for CCIMs, and I've been involved in 102 training redevelopment. But yes, if you're a CCM, you've got access to Business Analyst Web and also ArcGIS Online, and everything that we showed here you can do.
And then since, Helen, with CCM, do they have access to ArcScene, and can they embed that in their story maps?
Yep, so again, if ArcScene, the scenes inside of it are just common things. So if you go back to, if I go back to my content, then yeah, it's part of ArcGIS Online, and you can create a new scene at any time. So it'll be up at the top next to map. Just click on the scene, and you're now creating that scene. And again, this is one of the things that we'll cover in the one of the future webinars. Thank you, everybody, for attending. This has been a lot of fun.
Wonderful. Everyone, have a wonderful day.